Sakina, thank you very much for joining us today. Light.ication in its 4th year this year, released quite a different sort of concept this year, tying up with women in lighting. Tell us about it and how is it different this year? What are we going to do?
So in its 4th year, and just by default being the UAE Women in Lighting Ambassador, what we decided to do with Light.ication is to take it global. It's to also promote the World Project through Light.ication, in which case we're inviting teams from all around the world to take part in the initiative, which is still the same, where we have a lighting design studio, independent of course, that can partner with an architecture and interior design studio, take on a group of university students and create an installation around a theme. So for this year, we're looking at coining it around the Women in Lighting project, as well as what's happening in the UAE, which is the UAE Year of Tolerance. And the idea is that these teams can pick a site in their country, in their city, in their village, and create a lighting installation that takes on the points or anything that they think kind of talks about this element of women in lighting and tolerance.
Women in lighting itself, as an initiative itself, I mean, why is it important from your point of view to kind of bring forth female lighting designers and also bring in and tie in Light.ication as well?
So essentially what we've found, and Sharon and Martin from Light Collective, and why they started this project of Women in Lighting is, it's not that there's a gender imbalance or inequality within the lighting industry. It's that there are less women in a leading decision-making role. And the idea behind Women in Lighting is to have individuals like myself who work in lighting, who are able to, through their involvement within WIL, to show and almost mentor the younger generation to come up and take on a more decision-making role, a more active role. It will not only inspire the next generation, it will also raise the bar, because at the end of the day, every creative thinks differently. So if we're able to be more involved, we're able to also push the industry in many, many different ways. So the idea behind taking Light.ication global with WIL is so that if there is a studio where we have more males in a decision-making role, trying to push the senior mentor to be a female actually takes them out of that comfort zone and gives them a real opportunity to now step up to the mark and literally mentor not just students in the next generation of designers, architects and interiors and engineers, but also it gives a completely different take. It gives them the opportunity to grow as an individual in a more senior role. And the idea behind taking it global as well is because of WIL, we already have ambassadors around the world. We already have mentors, people who actively care about what it is that they do. And it will really, really bring up, I would like to say, a variety of ideas that will come in, because a designer that is based in KSA would think completely differently, if not just because of environmental and cultural undertones, to a designer that's based, for example, in the Netherlands or the UK or Asia.
It's going to be exciting, that's for sure. And how's it going to look at the show itself? Because previously at Light.ication we had student teams install their installation at there. Obviously it's a little bit different now.
Yes.
The teams will either live stream or send in images. How will that sort of work?
So working with Messi and the show managers and everybody else who's involved, what we've come up with a concept is to have a space that is dedicated to Light.ication with an LED screen which will have the world map and dots of where all these different installations will be. And the idea is that interactively you can click on a dot and be able to either see either live if it's an interactive installation, or just a video or pictures and everything about that installation that will tell you what the concept was, what it looks like, everybody who is involved. So it will all be quite digital. We can have as many teams as possible from each city, from each country. It's just all about the involvement, because Light.ication, again, is not really about promoting oneself. It's about teaching, it's about mentoring, and it's about raising awareness for the importance of lighting.
Yeah. Light.ication certainly sounds very exciting this year in its 4th edition, but that's not all that Will is going to be involved with at Light Middle East. You'll also be involved in the Will panel on the 2nd day of Think Light. Tell us a little bit about that.
The idea is that we're going to have a panel discussion where we'll bring in all the participants that did the Will interviews in Dubai. So I've got all those names there. We would like to have them on stage with a selection of questions that will kind of set the precedence of how the panel discussion will go. So they can talk about their careers, the different opinions that they have about certain topics, which we're putting together at the moment. And then after about, say, 40 minutes to an hour, we'd like to open that up to the audience. And what we would like to have as just Will in the UAE is to have as many women who are involved in architecture, engineering, construction, and design to attend this event, because then they can also talk about the issues and the pros and cons of working in this region versus working elsewhere, because that's where we're so lucky to have everybody who's here. I mean, the majority of the population is still expat.
Yep. So
we have people who have lived in different parts of the world that can bring in all that experience and that can be discussed. So it's a very kind of community gathering where we can talk about good and bad things of the lighting industry and construction as a whole. And obviously we can form relationships in a really nice space for younger designers and even more seasoned designers to create an open rapport where we're constantly being involved, not just to support, but obviously to exchange ideas, because as a designer, it's my opinion that by conversing with other people, you're able to reform some of your own ideas based on everything around us.
On behalf of Light.ication, on behalf of Women in Lighting and of course Light.Func, who would you like to see this year at Light Middle East?
Apart from the students, I would like to see a lot more designers from Africa, attend the show, because the consensus behind lighting is so misunderstood, especially in Africa. And being African, we never say I'm Tanzanian, I'm South African, because we still think as a continent. When you look at the world map in terms of light pollution, the least amount of light pollution is actually in Africa. And at present, because there aren't enough educators going in or lighting designers going in to work on, for example, public realm, there are a lot of other entities, I'm not going to mention them, who've gone in and promoting that brighter is better. And that is all about budget. But actually, there's a lady who said it's precisely when you don't have a budget is where you need to involve a lighting designer, because they will do the best for you to ensure that that project is designed well. So in Africa, what's happening at the moment, because of urbanization, we have a lot of street lighting that is going in, for example, that it does not look at the dark sky and how to maintain it. So if we had more people who are in a decision-making role, obviously from government, from big architectural studios, from big developers, and come in and really start to attend these talks that talk about the benefits of lighting, we could possibly start that movement in ensuring that coherent professional lighting design is now moving that way.
Sakina, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at Light Middle East.
Thank you for coming in. It's been a real pleasure.